I hereby declare open the 30th meeting of the 24th session of the Human Rights Council. We shall continue our interactive dialogue with the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Cambodia with the list of speakers. I would like to give the floor to the distinguished Ambassador of the United States of America. Ambassador, you have the floor.
The United States thanks Special Rapporteur Professor for his detailed and informative report following his most recent visits. We note that he met with civil society and the diverse political groups during both visits and with senior members of the government on his August 5th visit. We join the Special Rapporteur in acknowledging that Cambodia has made significant progress since the adoption of the Paris Peace Agreements and concur that Cambodia has taken positive steps in the direction of more representative governance. We note in particular the granting of a pardon to the leader of the opposition, Mr. Sam Rainsy. However, we also share the Special Rapporteur's concern regarding the treatment and criticism the Special Rapporteur received from the government during his December 2012 mission, in which no senior government officials agreed to meet with him. Although the Special Rapporteur was able to meet with senior Cambodian officials during his most recent visit, the refusal of any senior officials to meet with him in December 2012 highlights the government's need to be open to engaging with the international community on democracy and human rights issues. The Special Rapporteur noted the slow pace of progress in reforming state institutions responsible for protecting and promoting human rights, and the need to accelerate judicial, parliamentary, and electoral reforms. We share those concerns, particularly regarding the dismissal of 29 opposition members of Parliament on June 5th, a move that could be construed as an effort to repress the opposition on the eve of the official electoral campaigning season. We support Cambodia's aim of creating a multi-party democracy, but more needs to be done to create a level electoral playing field. This includes reforming the National Election Committee and improving the integrity of the voter registration system and voter lists. It also includes ensuring all candidates have equal access to the media and can organize, campaign, and speak out on sensitive issues without fear of politically motivated retribution. The government should also enhance the ability of all represented parties to contribute constructively to the process in the National Assembly. We appreciate the Special Rapporteur's attention to the absence of judicial independence in Cambodia and join in his call for the government to adopt laws in 3 fundamental areas: the status of judges and prosecutors, the organization of the courts, and the reform of the Supreme Council of Magistracy. A robust, independent judiciary is essential for the public to develop trust in government institutions as a means to provide effective remedies for human rights violations and other wrongdoings. The Special Rapporteur also noted the challenges surrounding land issues, a concern we share, in particular the prevalence of forced evictions and land appropriations that have resulted in an increased number of land protests, as well as violence. We note the government's positive steps in establishing a land titling program and encouraging the government to strengthen land management mechanisms so that all members of society can share the benefits of economic growth. We thank the Special Rapporteur for his work and call on the Cambodian government to continue its cooperation with him in the implementation of his mandate. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Ambassador. I give the floor next to the distinguished representative from the European Union.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The European Union wishes to thank the Special Rapporteur for his report on the human rights situation in Cambodia and expresses its appreciation for his efforts in carrying out his mandate. The EU welcomes the government's ongoing engagement with the Special Rapporteur and with this Council. While there have been some encouraging developments, progress in a number of other areas remains unnecessarily slow. We welcome the holding of the election for the National Assembly on July 28, 2013. However, we are particularly concerned about the recent violent clashes that took place between police and protesters in Phnom Penh, and are deeply saddened at reports that these resulted in the death of one man and injuries to others. The EU welcomes the recent meeting between the CPP and the CNRP and encourages them to pursue this political dialogue in order that the ongoing dispute over the July elections may be resolved as soon as possible. We call on all sides to exercise restraint and avoid violence. In particular, we urge the authorities to use proportionate means to manage protests and call on demonstrators to conduct their protests in a lawful and peaceful manner. The EU shares the Special Rapporteur's concerns over freedom of expression, access to media for all political parties during the pre-election period, use of state resources by political parties in campaigning, the use of threats to legal action against politicians, concerns of the integrity of the voter list, reports of intimidation of voters, and the general lack of transparency in the electoral process. While welcoming the progress which has been made with regard to the legal reform, the EU remains concerned that several important pieces of legislation remain pending. In particular, the 3 fundamental laws to uphold the independence of the judiciary. The EU also shares the Special Rapporteur's concerns at the persisting problem of land disputes, forced evictions, and continued persecution of those seeking to claim their rights to land. Finally, let me pose the following question to the Special Rapporteur. Professor Subedi, are you able to please tell us more about the government's plan to implement the recommendations contained in your report? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I give the floor to the distinguished Ambassador of Indonesia.
Thank you, Madam President. My delegation thanks the Special Rapporteur for his comprehensive report. We would like to express our support to the statement made by the representative of Cambodia in reaffirming its strong commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights, including through international cooperation. Madam President, Cambodia's willingness to cooperate with human rights mechanisms, including Special Rapporteur, should be reciprocated by more understanding of the voice and the need of Cambodia itself. My delegation would like to congratulate Cambodia for its National Assembly election held in July this year, which, according to international observers, including from Indonesia, was considered free, fair, and peaceful. Madam President, as fellow of ASEAN member, Indonesia would like to reiterate its commitment to support Cambodia in its endeavor to build a strong democracy based on rule of laws and respect human rights. We wish the people and the government of Cambodia every success in their efforts. I thank you, Madam President.
I thank you. I give the floor to the distinguished representative from France.
Madame la Vice-Présidente.
Madam Vice President, France associates itself with a statement made by the European Union. I would like to thank Mr. Subedi for presenting his report. Mr. Special Rapporteur, as you highlighted in your report, Cambodia has come a long way since the conclusion of the Paris Peace Agreements and a certain number of other recent events. The release of Mr. Mamsonando and the pardon of Mr. Sam Rainsy should be warmly welcomed. However, a number of concerns remain. I would like to talk about the following points. First of all, France shares the concern that was expressed by the European Union a moment ago concerning the holding of elections and the violence which followed. It is essential that the Cambodian political parties continue dialogue so as to resolve their differences through negotiation, and that all of the political actors in Cambodia work together in a positive and constructive way for the stability of the country and the good functioning of institutions. Freedom of expression of all stakeholders in Cambodian society should also be guaranteed. Second, as you highlighted, the current reform of the judicial system is very important for Cambodia, and the promulgation as quickly as possible of the 3 fundamental laws on strengthening the independence of the judiciary is essential. Third, France also shares the concern of the Special Rapporteur concerning the framework of land expulsions and the situation of human rights defenders who want to express themselves freely on the land question. France calls for the implementation of the recommendations by the Special Rapporteur in these areas, and we call for the renewal of his mandate. Mr. President, Mr. Special Rapporteur, I would also like to take this opportunity to highlight our concern about the current financial situation of the extraordinary chambers in the Cambodian courts for prosecuting crimes committed during the period of democratic Kampuchea, and we would like to recall the essential mission that they carry out in combating impunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I give the floor to distinguished representative of Ireland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Ireland welcomes the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Cambodia to the 24th session of the Council and thanks him for his latest report and efforts in carrying out his mandate. Ireland welcomes the constructive cooperation provided by the Government of Cambodia to the Special Rapporteur during his visit to the country in May of this year, including by facilitating meetings with a broad range of stakeholders. We encourage Cambodia to continue this cooperative approach. Ireland welcomes recent efforts also made by the government towards enhancing the promotion and protection of human rights and the strengthening of democracy and the rule of law. Implementing plans and strategies in the field of human rights will be one of the next key challenges. We encourage the Cambodian government to give serious consideration to all of the recommendations made by the Special Rapporteur over the past 4 years of his mandate. We note his observation in his latest report that the implementation of judicial, parliamentary, electoral and land and economic reforms have been slow, in particular in relation to the reform of national institutions. The government should consider committing to a clear time frame for implementation of reforms. On political participation, Ireland notes the Special Rapporteur's observation that there is room for improvement in encouraging national dialogue and in the transparency of decision-making processes. We note the protests that followed the National Assembly elections in July of this year. Equal access to the media by all parties is vital, and the right to freedom of expression, association and assembly should be respected and protected at all times in accordance with Cambodia's international human rights obligations. Ms. Vice President, a thriving civil society is fundamental to a functioning democracy. Ireland is encouraged to note the Special Rapporteur's assessment that civil society is increasingly vibrant in many areas in Cambodia, including on human rights issues. We regard the release of Mr. Mam Sonando, a prominent human rights defender, last year as a positive sign of progress. The intimidation or harassment of human rights defenders should never be tolerated. We encourage the government to continue to engage with and to support the work of civil society in all walks of life in Cambodia. Ireland attaches great importance to the extension of the mandate of the Special Rapporteur and wishes him well in his future work. And finally, we would like to pose the following question. Could the Special Rapporteur tell us a little bit more of his overall assessment of the situation regarding freedom of expression following the elections of July of this year? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to announce that the list of speakers is now closed. I give the floor to the distinguished representative from China.
Vice President, the Chinese delegation has noted the report submitted by Mr. Subedi, Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Cambodia to the HRC, and commends the Cambodian government's active cooperation with the Special Rapporteur and other international human rights mechanisms. China is pleased to note that in recent years, Cambodia has achieved greater results in national development, and in promoting and protecting human rights made significant progress. Cambodia has continued to improve laws and regulations that contribute to human rights protection, promote sustainable economic and social growth, increase living standards, actively implement recommendations received during UPR, so that the human rights of the Cambodian people can be more effectively guaranteed. Madam Vice President, China supports the government and people of Cambodia in line with its economic and social development levels, historical and cultural traditions, and religious faith to choose their own models and paths of human rights development suited to their national realities, while the international community provides technical assistance to Cambodia in the human rights field. The national conditions of Cambodia must be considered, and the will of the government and the people must be respected. As its friendly neighbor, China wishes Cambodia continued success in terms of economic and social development and human rights endeavors. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. I give the floor to the distinguished ambassador of Thailand. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Madam Vice President, the Thai delegation would thank the Special Rapporteur for his report. We also thank the Permanent Representative of Cambodia for his update on the human rights situation in the country. Madam Vice President, Thailand appreciates the continued engagement and cooperation of Cambodia with the Human Rights Council and its mechanisms. As a fellow ASEAN member and neighboring country of Cambodia, we have been following closely the situation in Cambodia. We welcome the economic advances achieved, which has enabled the country to strengthen its efforts to eradicate poverty. While some challenges remain on the land concessions issue, Thailand commends the commitment of Somdet Techo Hun Sen, Prime Minister of Cambodia, in addressing the problem. We encourage the government of Cambodia to continue its efforts in this regard to further enhance the well-being of its population. On the issue of the legal and institutional reform in the country, Thailand welcomes the progress made by Cambodia as detailed in the Special Rapporteur's report. We believe that any reform, including electoral reform, should reflect the view and enjoy the support of the population and society at large. We appreciate the importance that the government of Cambodia has attached to democratic elections. The invitation extended to representatives from countries and international organizations to observe the latest general elections this past July reflects the efforts of the government in this regard. However, we take note of the Special Rapporteur's concerns on the current electoral process and encourage Cambodia to continue engaging with the Special Rapporteur to ensure further progress on these issues. We also support the decision reached between the two main political parties to reform institutions related to the electoral process. Thailand remains committed to continuing its close cooperation with Cambodia to further promote the human rights situation in the country, both bilaterally as well as in the ASEAN context. Indeed, the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration adopted in Phnom Penh in November last year marks yet another important step in the evolving process of human rights protection and promotion in the region. We firmly believe that appropriate international assistance and capacity building are essential to help enable states who are willing to do so carry out their international obligations. We therefore call on the OHCHR and the international community to continue providing assistance, technical cooperation, and capacity building as requested by the country. As for Thailand, we stand ready to provide any assistance needed to the government of Cambodia upon its request. I thank you.
Thank you. I give the floor to distinguished representative from the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We are pleased that Cambodia continues to engage with the Special Rapporteur and are encouraged by some human rights improvements over the past 2 years. The United Kingdom stands ready to support the Royal Government taking forward its important work in areas requiring further progress, including freedom of expression and the resolution of land disputes. We welcome the mainly peaceful conduct and unprecedented levels of public participation in this year's general election. However, we note with concern the ongoing dispute between political parties about alleged irregularities in the electoral process and the opposition's boycott of this week's National Assembly opening. We call on the parties to work together to identify and address any flaws that occurred in the election and to strengthen public confidence in the election process, in particular through reform of the voter list and of the National Election Committee. We underline the need for the ongoing dispute to be resolved peacefully. In an overall context of police restraint during the election period, we are deeply concerned at the incidents of violence that have taken place in recent days, including the cases highlighted by the Special Rapporteur, where force has been used against protesters, resulting in 1 death and numerous injuries. We urge the authorities to exercise restraint and proportionality and to protect freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. We also call on demonstrators to ensure their protests remain peaceful. The formation of a new National Assembly is an important opportunity for the parties to cooperate to deliver the longer-term reform necessary for Cambodia's future development. This includes judicial reform, media reform, National Assembly reform, as well as other efforts to strengthen democracy and good governance. Finally, we hope that Cambodia will continue to engage with the Council's special procedures, and we would like to ask Mr. Sebede if there are any particular areas in the Cambodian government that would benefit from further human rights training or education. Thank you, Mr. Special Rapporteur, and thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. I give the floor to the distinguished representative of